everybody, it's Mel. Thank you so much for joining me today for 7 on Saturday. 7 on Sunday is a Goodreads group created by Grace from G Swizzle. I will put both the Goodreads group and Grace's channel in the description below so you can go and check out all of those things, subscribe, etc. Grace has created this Goodreads group and she gives us prompts every single month for different ideas we could do for different videos and different blogs and general content for the booktonet. I often see different people doing 7 on Sunday and I always think all of the prompts are really fun and really interesting, but I just don't upload on a Sunday. So I only occasionally do it when I do something like Gator or something like that. But I decided that I upload on a Saturday, and 7 on Saturday has a similar ring to 7 on Sunday, as long as I tell you that the inspiration came from Grace and then I'm essentially doing 7 on Sunday. I've just changed the day. Then I figure that I can still do it. So occasionally I may do a 7 on Saturday. It depends on what else I have going on, obviously, for my content. But it's a fun way to get ideas of different content that you could put out, and I just thought, why not do that? So when I do 7 on Saturday, it will be the 7 on Sunday for the Sunday that comes after when I upload, if that makes sense. Anyway, this week's 7 on Sunday is 7 anti-TBR books. So 7 books that you definitely will not be putting on your TBR, that you have absolutely no intention of reading. So 2 things, first of all, before I give you the list of my 7 books. First up, I did do the anti-TBR tag, which is sort of a similar idea. So I will link that in the description below, as well as the original creator, who I can't remember who it was, but they'll be down below as well for the anti-TBR tag. And then secondly, never say never, right? If in future of the channel you notice me reading a book that appears in this list, or indeed on my anti-TBR tag or any other place where I talk about books I don't want to read, even though the prompt for, well, tomorrow is that you definitely won't put on your TBR, you have no intention of reading, you change your mind. Like, we grow, we change, our tastes change. I can't say that I will never read any of these books. I can say, as of currently, and actually with a few of these books, as of basically since I heard about them, I have not had the slightest interest and do not think that I will have the slightest interest. So although I'm not going to categorically say that I will never ever ever read these books ever ever ever, I'm reasonably certain that I really just won't. Hello. Just a little insert here. I am batch filming today and changing my clothes to pretend that I'm not. I just realised that I should have put in the disclaimer that most people put in when they make this kind of video. If I talk about a book that you really, really like, please don't be offended. It is not a comment on you or your tastes or your thoughts or anything like that. These are talking about books that I don't want to read. You do you. If you enjoy these books, fantastic. I hope that you get a lot out of them, but I don't want to read them, and there are various reasons why. So yeah, that's the disclaimer. Alright, with all that being said, I will now talk about the 7 books that I have put on my anti-TBR. So books that I don't want to read, that I can't see myself wanting to read, that I'm just not interested in, etc. First up is Hook, Line and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. This is the second book in, I think it's a duology. The first book is It Happened One Summer. As you may know, if you watched my romance reading vlog, which will also be linked below, I did try to read It Happened One Summer. I think I got maybe 5% into the book and I had to DNF it. I really didn't like it. I didn't like the main character. I didn't like the trope of little rich girl messing up all the time, has to be taken in hand, gets sent off to random small town to learn how to, you know, survive and look after herself. I think that's a stupid trope and I didn't think Tessa Bailey pulled it off particularly well. Like I said, I haven't read the book properly. I mean, I've read a little bit of it. But I also just did not like the way that the male protagonist talked about the female protagonist in his head. It seemed really voyeuristic and yeah, quite misogynistic, so I just really wasn't enjoying it. And then I was talking to Ellie from Earl Grey Books, and she was saying that her and her best friend Angel absolutely hate Tessa Bailey and they think she's really problematic. So I was like, you know what? Yep, I'm feeling the same way. I'm done. I'm going to DNF. And then I have no desire to pick up any more of her books, but I particularly picked this one because it's the second book to a book that I tried to read. Because I know that I don't want to read It Happened One Summer, so therefore why would I want to read the second book? I know that Tessa Bailey is very popular and has written a lot of books, so who knows, maybe I'd find one that I might like, but definitely it won't be this particular duology. Next up we have From Blood and Ash. Now, here's the thing. I really enjoy Sarah J Maas and various other books that I think are probably fairly similar to Sarah J Maas. I know that people who really enjoy Sarah J Maas also really enjoy From Blood and Ash, and I've heard amazing things about it. With a few exceptions, most of the people that I've seen talk about the series have either really enjoyed the first book and not particularly enjoyed the rest, or have just kind of been a bit meh about the whole lot. So I just don't really see myself particularly enjoying it. It's a massive chunky book. Even if I loved the first book, from almost everyone that I've seen talk about it that really liked the first book, they have not liked the rest of the series. They're massive books. I have too many series on the go currently as we speak, and I keep starting them, so I just don't see this one being a priority at any point. But, you know, who knows, like we said. Then we have The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. Now, I really enjoyed The Hunger Games. I read The Hunger Games about 5 years ago. I definitely didn't read it when it was supposed to be read in my late teens, but having said that, I really enjoyed them. I thought they were solid, I thought they were fun, I thought they were well written. I had watched the movies actually a few times by that point, and I really enjoyed the movies, so I definitely knew that it was something I enjoyed. But when The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes came out, I did kind of feel like it was maybe a bit of a cash grab. One of those things that, like, did we really need this book? It doesn't seem like it. And then I started hearing reviews, and 95% of the people that I watch or that I interact with that have read the book have absolutely hated it. I think I maybe heard one, possibly two people say that they enjoyed the book. I'm sure that there are people out there in the world at large, but also in the bookternet, that enjoy the book. I just don't know that I'd be one of them. I can't see it being something that I particularly want to read. I don't really care that much about getting President Snow's backstory, and yeah, I'm happy to leave the original trilogy as they are and let that be the end of that. So, in a similar vein, the next book on the list is Midnight Sun by Stephenie Meyer. My feelings towards the Twilight saga, I guess it's called, is that at the time that I read it, I definitely saw many problems in it. And I was having conversations with the work colleague who was like insisting that I read it about the various problems, and I think I was in my late 20s. I think she had read the books when she was in her late teens, which is what it's aimed at and when I think you're supposed to read it, and probably, like many, many people on BookTube and various other internet areas, read Twilight. So many of the people that I follow have a very strong attachment, nostalgia to Twilight, even though they realise that there are some fairly serious problems. They read it at a time where it impacted their reading tastes, and so they have a lot of nostalgia attached to it. We always change, our tastes change all the time, but I had some fairly firm ideas of what I liked. Anyway, the point being that while at the time that I was reading them, I kind of could see what the appeal was, and, you know, reading books that you know are problematic, you kind of enjoy anyway at the time, but I don't ever want to go back to them because they're majorly problematic. So I don't want to read Midnight Sun because I don't want to read the books again. So why would I want to read a book which is essentially going over the same stuff from the quartet in one other book Plus, I hate Edward. He is the main reason why the books are problematic. I don't want to read from his perspective. He is not a good individual, and he has extremely problematic views about women and the world at large, and I do not want to read from his perspective. Even if reading from his perspective means that I get other characters' perspective because of his particular psychic ability, I don't want to read from his perspective. He is a creep, and I do not want to be inside the head of a creep. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Twilight and Midnight Sun. Next up is The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. Now, I have heard many people say that essentially if you loved The Silent Patient, you probably will hate The Maidens, and vice versa. I didn't love The Silent Patients. I didn't hate it either. I mean, look, it was probably on the lower end of middle of the road, but it was very middle of the road for me. I could definitely see why people liked it. There were some elements that I enjoyed, but overall I had some problems with the characterization and just generally some of the kind of why things happen and how they happened, the general structure of the book, basically. So I kind of feel like I think partly it was the way that Alex Michaelides put the book together rather than necessarily the twist or what have you. So I just don't think that I'm going to like The Maidens. And I just can't be bothered reading a book that I don't think I'll like. I mean, I am vaguely curious because, you know, who knows, I might love it. But there are so many books to read, you know, who has the time? The next book is another who has the time, essentially, and that is Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. Again, middle of the road, although on the better side of middle of the road, for me was The Love Hypothesis. I know people love it, but it was kind of okay. I didn't think it was that amazing. I didn't think it was terrible. I had fun while I was reading it. There were definitely elements that I liked, but overall, it was okay. I didn't really get what the fuss was about. I have heard from many people that essentially Ali Hazelwood's books are all basically the same story. So I've already read one, so I don't need to read any more, basically, is how I feel about any of her other books. But for the purpose of this video, Love on the Brain. And then the final book for my 7 on Saturday is A Little Life. I just don't know why I'd do that to myself. I've heard that it's amazing, but I've also heard that it's just harrowing and that you absolutely will sob and that it will break your heart and rip your guts out, and it's really, really chunky. I don't know how long it is, but it's thick, and I just don't need to do that to myself. I don't need to read a book that is really long and will potentially make me cry and be kind of hard to get to and have a lot of really hard stuff to read. I just don't need that kind of pain in my life, so I don't think I'll ever get to it. But potentially, of all the books on this list, I feel like A Little Life is the one that I'm the most intrigued to read, but I just don't think that I will prioritize it, and I just don't think that I will ever get around to it, so it's on this list. And that brings me to the end of the list. Comment below and let me know what you thought about my thoughts. If I talked about a book that you really enjoyed, then let me know that down below. Please be nice about it, but let me know that down below. Equally, if you agree with any of the books I put in here, please let me know that as well. If you'd like to leave me a comment but you don't know what, then leave me a grumpy face emoji because we are anti in this video. All of my social media details are listed in the description below, so if you'd like to go follow me on any of those other platforms, please feel free to do so. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would absolutely love it if you would subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. And yeah, like I said, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.